welcome to the kitchen. Today we're going to talk about some cucumbers and some this is what happened. I've been harvesting cucumbers from the garden all week long and placing them in a refrigerator that we have in our garage. And I thought I had the temperature setting pretty normal for everything, not realizing that the top shelf is going to freeze. So the cucumbers that I thought I was going to make pickles out of are mushy, as you can see. They froze. And so I didn't want to waste. I can give them to the chickens, not wasting, they give back to us, or I can try to make something out of them. And so I did a little bit of research, and what I'm going to do with them is make cucumber gazpacho, and then I'm also going to make some tzatziki. And so I have all the ingredients here. It's really simple. I'll put the recipe up for you, but it's soggy cucumbers. So let's talk about that just for a minute. So cucumbers are 96% water, and they are one of the highest water, in fact, I think they are the most highest content water vegetable. So when they're frozen, it breaks up the tissue of the cucumber and turns it into even more water content. So they're not good for anything but sauces or soups or a smoothie, something like that. But we're gonna try to make this gazpacho with them because they're just gonna get blended into mushiness anyway. I am gonna peel them and then just dice them up pretty small, throw them into here. It calls for honeydew melon, breadcrumbs, some sherry vinegar. I don't have sherry vinegar, I have sherry wine, but doing a comparison, the wine's gonna be a little bit sweeter. This is gonna be a sweet soup anyway, and so I may not add as much honey to it at the end. And then it has oil, feta, fresh mint from our garden as well, and that's it. So let's get going on adding it all together. So I'm not going to peel them. I'm just going to cut up really small. The recipe calls for 2 English cucumbers. So I just washed up what we had of the mushy ones and compared them to, how long an English cucumber is. And because these are so mushy, I just added 1 extra. So we're just going to try it with that. Okay, in case you're wondering what a mushy cucumber tastes like, it still tastes like a cucumber. It's a little weird and texture-wise because a cucumber should be crispy, but these are not. So, but it does still have a wonderful cucumber flavor. So I'm adding a 1/4 cup of olive oil, a tablespoon of the sherry. I'm just trying to give it a little bit more liquid in here so things will blend a little bit better. And then I'm going to start adding a little bit of the honeydew because that's also pretty moist. And let's see what we can get going here. Let's throw in the breadcrumbs as well. You blend it until it's smooth and then you refrigerate it. And at the very end, before you're ready to serve it, you add in the feta cheese, the mint, and honey, and we're gonna drizzle a little more oil on it as well. And you serve it cold. It pairs well with like a fish dinner or anything really. Because cucumber is just a really mild, smooth taste anyway. So we have the gazpacho bagged up. It will freeze really nicely, and so what we don't eat tonight, we will freeze the rest and use for another hot summer day. Let's move on to the tzatziki. It's another one of our favorites to eat. We've got, we do a lot of Indian cooking. I make a green tomato curry at the end of the summer, and we also did some grape leaves that we want to use. So we're going to do some dolmas, and we'll do a video on that and show, and then we'll use our homemade tzatziki as well. All right, because our cucumbers are mushy, the recipe actually calls for that you cut the ends off, you peel them, you seed them, and grate them on a box cutter or a box grater. that's not going to happen because they're too mushy. And so what I've done is I have just diced them up really tiny. They're going to go in the blender and get blended anyway, so that will just help that process. And the seeds are from, these are one of my favorite cucumbers, and I have a few plants growing, but they're called a lemon cucumber. And because they're the size of a small lemon, but the seeds are just really soft and part of the cucumber. So one of these is in there too. And they have a nice kind of a lemon flavor to them. So it'll be kind of fun to see what that does to this. All right, so we're just gonna mix everything into, I thought we were gonna use a bowl, but we're gonna actually mix it into our blender. So let me chop up one more cucumber because we'll need that, and then we'll get the rest of the ingredients going. Okay, knowing that this is going in the blender, I'm not gonna cut it up as fine as I did these, but I am gonna put it in here, and we're going to use a couple of paper towels, and I'm just gonna try to get as much moisture out as I can, because this is going into yogurt. We wanna make sure that there's not much moisture. It'll become very runny tzatziki, and we don't want runny tzatziki. All right, everything's just gonna go in there, the yogurt and everything. We're gonna do half of a medium lemon juiced. Okay, the recipe calls for a whole milk Greek strained yogurt. Again, we want the less moisture, so I don't have any fresh cloves right now. They're still in the ground in the garden. So we're going to just use this paste. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we have tablespoon of chopped dill. This is out of our garden as well. I'm just gonna put a little bit in there. We can add more if we need to. Over here. And let's oh, much smoother. And that tastes very, very good. Yes. Okay. This will also freeze up really nice. So I'm going to put it in just some little containers, and yeah, just have little small containers because you don't use a lot at each meal, and freeze it, and then it'll keep for about a year in the freezer. So this ends our episode of cucumbers this time. We'll be doing some pickling of cucumbers later. And thank you for joining us. If you like what you see, please subscribe, leave us your comments. We'll be happy to reply back. And again, thanks for joining us here at the Bountiful Farmhouse.